Hello everyone, welcome back to more tinfoil hat nonsense about 13 Sentinels.
I only have aluminium, damn it!
You'll have to make do. Is it at least in foil form?
Yes.
Then you can probably work with that. Although I don't know if it'll block all the beams.
I peel it off, and hey, there's a giant Hershey's Kiss under there.
Anyway, joining me is J.K. Lantern.
Chocolate.
StarPrincessHLC.
That was a weird movie.
And Layla M.
I have Rocket Pop Vodka Soda. Happy 4th.
Who is back with us after missing the last session due to educational pursuits.
Yes. Mature things. College and mathy stuff.
So, the last video left off at part 31 of the Let's Play. Part 32 is just me rambling on more about, well, what I've pieced together, or at least in my own mind I pieced together. So we move on to video 33, where we're still at this point doing a battle session to begin each recording session. We're still in the first area, battle cities of Ashitaba City. We're in the fifth wave. Apparently, we're still just immediately following one long timeline there because it's now 6:07 p.m. on May 27th. Keitaro points out a kaiju he calls a bomber. Then Tomi perks up and asks Ninji if it kinda looks familiar. Ninji replies it does resemble what they saw from interstellar development in the dead kaiju. Tomi asks for more info from the Sentinel computers, and Shu said the command ship had data on it, and calls it a Terra carrier, some type of transport craft that can take atmospheric movement and re-entry due to a magnetic repulsion shell, which Tomi asks will start to repel shots. Keitaro says whatever it is, it's hell-bent on delivering whatever the payload is, so they better stop it. Battle starts. Once the group takes down the first carrier, Okino tells Takatoshi that he might want to start using the phase plasma EMP from the terminal to drop the flying kaiju from the ground, and Takatoshi kind of wonders about the effects on the city. Battle keeps going, a second carrier goes down, and Ninji wonders where the wreckage from all this is. The third carrier falls, and Rinya confirms that Aegis actually finally activates, but says the kaiju have already switched targets and are headed towards a new terminal. Tomi adds she sees them on the move as well, and Rinya says he'll dismount the Sentinel temporarily, even though he's not at his operating limit. So Shu wants to know who's taking point. Yuki says they don't need orders to do their job, activates her Sentinel, and Rinya says he's going to leave the rest to them, and Shu takes a moment to flirt with Yuki.
Yuki's all, I don't need no instructions to know how to rock.
Basically.
She's like a Buki.
A Buki is great.
Pointing! I swear that's an Ibuki quote.
I believe that's the first we've actually heard. Yeah, that's the first we've actually heard of interstellar development. At least at this point.
Interstellar Expeditions, funded by Chandrasekhar Kurita. Wait, wrong franchise.
I was just thinking of the Daft.
You might be, some.
See, I was just thinking of the Daft Punk movie.
I think I have that.
Oh.
Or had it.
Okay, not much to do there except interstellar development is now on the board here, and the things they're recognizing from that resemble the Deimos. So, video 34, we have quite a few mystery files to unlock now that I did some grinding and have a bunch of points to spend on unlocking the mystery files. So then we move on to video 35. I think this is just an alternate path of event 157, but the game's not really clarifying it much. We head back to Juro and his after-school life at Class 1B. Kyuta walks up to them and says there's bad news, so Juro guesses it's probably because Shu was gone and might just be at the cafeteria. Kyuta thanks Juro and goes to read a manga at the back of the room after saying they need to grab their stuff and head over there. We see Miwako and Tomi talking, and Tomi rejects Miwako's attempt to go get crepes as she has somewhere to be. Miwako asks why Tomi's been acting strange, and then Iori walks up to them. Miwako asks if they're going home together, but Iori has plans. Miwako says she's going home alone, but she's going to take a peek at Shu first, and Iori says she saw him by the vending machines. The three girls go their separate ways, and Juro, having eavesdropped, tells Kyuta exactly where Shu is, so the pair heads to the vending machines to go meet the guy. After walking through the hallway to get to the break area, they see Okino standing in front of vending machines, but nobody really says anything to each other at this point. Juro manages to approach Shu, who is standing near a bench, and asks if they can hang out again that day. Okino leaves, and Shu suggests hanging out at Juro's house, much to Kyuta's disappointment. Juro mentions that he has a guest, so it'd be kinda awkward, so Shu agrees to hang out at his place, much to Kyuta's happiness. Juro looks to buy a drink from the vending machines, but one's out of change and the other's out of his drink specifically, so they all exit. We jump to event 201. Later that night, about 7 o'clock in Shu's apartment, Kyuta is sitting there hogging the TV playing video games, and Juro sits on the floor.
His 1985 video game console.
Yes. The most current 1985 video game console. Juro stands up and kind of annoys Kyuta for a bit while he plays by walking in front of him. Okay, a lot of bits. I made sure of that. And Shu eventually does walk into the room and offers Juro a soda before staring out the window. Juro drinks, and Shu says it's getting dark, so they should probably think about dinner soon. Shu offers to pay for them, but Juro said he already paid for the ramen last time. So Shu asks if he just wants to go home, but Juro says no, he'll still go get dinner, he can just pay for his own. Kyuta complains and says that means he has to pay for himself too. Juro takes a look at Shu's records, knows he has a fairly large CD and Laserdisc collection, and then spots the video Shu borrowed from him and asked what he thought of it. Shu called it campy because it's about a mad scientist that loses his real body and builds a new one to set out for revenge. Juro then notices that Shu has a collection of records from Miyuki Inaba and asks about that. Shu replies he was just curious, and then asks if Juro's ready to go get dinner and go home, to which Juro asks if he can stay just a little while longer. Shu says, yeah, no problem, because his old man is probably still at his mistress's place. But Shu does ask why Juro wants to stay, and Juro sits and thinks that he can't pin the blame just on Megami just because he doesn't know what he'll do if he's around her too long. Shu asks if they want to go get food, and adds they could swing by the video store, to which Juro remembers he has another tape to let Shu borrow, the sequel to the sci-fi flick, and Shu says they can watch it together. Juro passes because he's been scared. He's been watching too many movies lately, and his dreams have been nightmares. The latest one had him going insane and killing everyone, including Iori, Shu, and Megami, so he's been a little extra nervous around Megami. This prompts a flashback, which registers as event 15 in the timeline. Oddly enough, when I went to go find an analysis, this was not in Juro's timeline. It was only in the All Events section. Juro has a dream about the city center in 2065. He stands on a ruined highway holding a phaser facing Megami, Iori, and Tetsuya Ida. This turns out to be Juro Izumi, and Megumi asks him to stop. Iori follows that up by asking how he could kill everyone. Tetsuya asks him if he came to the future for this and what happened to protecting them. Jiro points the gun at him and says the true cause of the disaster is him, or at least his nanomachines, and as they all have them, the nanomachines are calling the Daimos here. As long as those guys live, the hordes will keep coming until they destroy all time and space. Tetsuya asks if he's lying, and Jiro says he's sorry before shooting first Tetsuya, but not killing him, but then shooting and killing Iori and Megumi. Jiro says he has to finish the job to escape from this eternal cage, and Tetsuya asks if the cause was really them. Jiro calls him persistent before Chihiro shows up and shoots Jiro with her own magical gun, very similar to the one Fluffy gave Megumi, or at least a very copy of it. She asks what Jiro has done, seeing the bodies, and runs up to check on Tetsuya's wound, as Jiro very sluggishly says as he collapses, everything he did was all for her. And then we fade to black. So let's see, new things we got here. I'm finally putting this on the board. And then, because it was actually explicitly said, this goes on the board.
Micro Machines!
Well, I mean, Micro Machines taken down a few stages anyway.
Micro Machines, son.
And I need a lot of strings for this. Let's see. Oh, so we got a lot of people that are watching these videotapes.
VHS was a very popular format.
Yes, it
Yes,
was.
it was. It beat out Beta for a very specific reason, though.
It was cheaper, wasn't it?
Kind of.
Or are you thinking of the which industry supported VHS reason?
Yeah, that's more the one. And it actually was the reason that...
Yeah.
Let's see...
I'm trying to remember if that's the reason Blu-ray beat out HD DVD.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Let's see, Iori was watching them. And let's see, Shu was watching them.
Hey.
More butt touching?
No, this time I was tickling him.
We also have a Sherman. He's just
Oh.
vibing.
And let's see. These tapes are mostly being loaned out by Kyuta over here. So let's see. Where did I put phaser? There it is. We know that Jiro at least at one point had a phaser. And he actually used it. let's see. And we know he used it to shoot Tetsuya. Where the hell are you?
Why are you attaching that to buried UFO?
Because I missaw what I was looking at there.
UFO.
I wasn't attaching it to buried UFO. What are you
Oh,
talking
okay,
about?
it's not attached to anything. Okay, yeah.
It's attached to Juro.
Okay, and which is next to buried UFO. Okay.
Yeah. There he is.
So you went from your teacher to the principal.
Something like
To my
that.
mum, to my dad,
With a phaser.
with a phaser, and then I killed everyone. And that's why I went to the bad place.
The purple push pop joke took a turn somewhere.
It would explain
to
more
my
about why
teacher.
the bad place got involved. Let's see. Then you killed.
I went to my teacher, I phased them. I went to my principal, phased him. Went to my mom, phased her. Went to my dad, phased him.
See, Juro killed.
I went to my
Yuri.
Will Wheaton, and I phased him.
Holy fucking shit! This is the bad place!
It ain't good.
For some reason, Billy went Cockney.
The whole reason he was in the bad place, he turned Cockney.
Whenever I tell this story, he's British. Okay?
Well, Cockney is a type of British accent.
I feel like the good place would make a joke about people going to the bad place for being Cockney.
They know what they did.
They know what they did. Every president except Lincoln went to the bad place.
And let's see if the Daimo's sitting over here somewhere, I believe.
Sorry, Sherman. I hope I didn't say all that in your ear.
I mean, I
love
just
my
attached
people.
something to them. Where the hell did I put it? There it is.
Sherman went to the bad place.
No!
Tax evasion.
But
I mean,
if
the
the
single
taxes
dogs go to
fund wars, does that make that a bad act?
He specifically evaded the taxes that went to schools.
Okay.
He specifically paid taxes for bombs.
Okay, I would still question if evading taxes for schools is a bad act.
Not giving the schools more money is one of the reasons they suck.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then let's see.
Let's be fair, they say all dogs go to heaven. They don't mention cats.
No, not once.
And we see Chihiro.
I don't want to think about my cat being dead.
That's fair.
Let alone going to hell.
Okay, and with that... And let's see. With the fact that Chihiro uses her own magic gun there, we move on to the next video, where we are doing more combat. And yep, we are in Wave 6. So, we've moved from 6:07 p.m. to 6:13 p.m. on May 27th. Iori, before combat starts, asks if her robot is kind of slower than the rest. A replies that the second gen are more heavily armed, but are also heavier than other models, going somewhere north of 2,000 tons, so they could easily just kind of crash through underground structures if the pilots aren't careful. Juro adds the reactor is also heavy, but it provides a ton of power to operate the plasma arc fusion cutter, which can slice through kaiju like a knife through butter. Ryoko adds that the original purpose was to break down massive pillars for high-rise buildings, so the 1,300-ton grip strength comes in handy. A further adds that they have support units that can help out, and battle starts. Battle ends, and Iori says that she found Miwako with the drone. Tomi expresses relief, but Iori says Miwako is headed right for the next terminal that the Kaiju are headed towards.
Oh no!
Natsuno pops up, and she has no sense of direction, but they can't exactly leave Miwako out there to dry. Tomi bolts off to try to catch up with her and reroute her, and Rinya sits there and goes, "Where the hell's she going?" To which Tomi responds and says she'll get back in the battle once Miwako's safe, and Keitaro's sister Chihiro shows up on comms, but doesn't say a whole lot.
Which Chihiro?
The kid.
Small Chihiro.
Right.
Keitaro's sister Chihiro.
That's what I thought I heard.
I'm going to have another nickname for her much, much later.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't gotten there yet. Either here or elsewhere. Time.
I'll always be a prisoner to my ambition.
You know I gave her a card. Where the hell did I put her?
Spoilers, we're going to be hearing that a lot as this goes on.
It's getting hard to see some of these, you know.
Yeah, just a smidge.
Eventually, this is just gonna be like an art piece.
I feel like it's already there.
Mm.
We have recreated the time knife.
Yeah, 13 Sentinels is basically seeing the time knife.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say I don't need that string because that was a wild guess, wasn't it? That was a very wild guess.
Wait, are you putting your own theories?
Wrong?
I was definitely wrong when I put that down, unless I had a typo.
Were you putting your own theories on the corkboard?
No, I think I just typoed. I had to be. Yeah, I was typoing. That was a typo.
Is what we're going with.
It was the time knife.
We've all seen the time knife.
Because at that point... There we go. Yeah, I typed the number 10 instead of the number 12 there and went, that doesn't seem right. Because if I had that, I had Miwako being an alternate form for Chihiro, and it's like, that sounds like something I would have made up on the fly. It's like, no, I meant to type in 12 for Chihiro.
To be fair, you've had a lot of thoughts about Miwako over the course of the game.
Yes, I have, and I'm still having them. So we move on to video 37. Once again, we don't have a match in the analysis board for this anywhere. But we cut to A running through Tsutsuji Station and Shiro Yashiocho at night. He muses that he lost his pursuers, but he has to stay alert, and then considers his entire inventory of the kill orders, the files, the student ID, the note with the numbers on it, a key, a strange key he doesn't understand what it is yet, an empty pill bottle, a phaser, and a walkie-talkie. Dude has full pockets at this point.
He has cargo pants, clearly.
He has cargo
He
pants.
has Roger Wilco's pants.
Something like that. A voice starts to come through on the walkie-talkie, but we don't have no idea who it is at this point. We only have guesses. And as of this recording, we still don't have confirmation on who that is. We have heavy guesses, but we still do not have confirmation. But they start talking to A through the walkie-talkie and keeps prompting him to answer until A finally actually does. The voice claims to be a friend trying to help and guesses A has seen the recording. The voice says A handled the Morimura assignment well, and A assumes the voice wrote those instructions. He admits to being unable to remember anything, and the voice tells him it's not exactly safe where he is, so he shouldn't trust anyone. He asks if that includes the voice, and the voice replies, better be too careful than too careless, or A will never escape. He then tells A to stay put and he'll do what he can about the pursuers. And then he hangs up. We move on to event 265. It's 8:30 a.m., assuming to be the following morning at the front gate of Sakura High School. A walks up to the front gate just as the school starts, and Natsuno runs through the gate with a bandage on her cheek, saying she needs to go to the track room as she runs. A few moments later, Iori shows up and greets him. She's been thinking about him for days and is happy to see him safe. A can't remember meeting her, so he pretends to know her to try to get some information. He then returns the student ID she dropped and she thanks him. He shows her the pill bottle and asks if those are the pills he's been taking. She asks what they're for and if he's sick, and A replies he's fine. He asks her if she has something to say, and she replies that she still likes him, even if it's one-sided. A asks about Chihiro, and Iori confirms she's the nurse, but ever since the day Iori heard about Chihiro's secret, she hasn't been at school. A mumbles about accepting fate, and then spots a man in black scouting out the area. He hides behind a wall, the man in black leaves, and Iori gives him the all clear. She then realizes her first class is about to start, and she asks A what he's going to do. He says he's going to go visit the nurse's office, and she asks if the men in black will still be on the grounds, so she asks him to wait until after school so she can show him where to go. He agrees, and she runs to class. He then muses about accepting fate, as it was what Chihiro said, and he struggled to remember when it happened. We get a flashback, which shows up as event 27. It's 2064 and on a rooftop before the Kaiju invasion at night. That's the title. Chihiro stands at the edge of the roof watching the moon. An adult Tetsuya approaches and remarks that this is where you've been, and she says she's surveying the area in advance. Tetsuya says the view is worth taking in one last time, because there will be considerable damage. Chihiro says they weren't prepared for them in Sector 1, as they had nothing they could do, but they will fight them off this time. She says 19 Sentinels have been prepared and battle simulations look positive, but Tetsuya remarks those won't mean much if the enemies have evolved, and victory is going to depend on luck. So to prepare for the worst case scenario, if it all goes badly again, they'll perform another loop to start over and increase the chance of success. Chihiro says she doesn't want to run anymore, and if things aren't settled here, she's initiating Operation Aegis. Tetsuya says this is going to close the loop and keep people from leaving. Chihiro says they will at least survive, and Tetsuya asks if she expects everyone to grow old and die in this forsaken place, and Chihiro says they must accept their fate. But if they win now, they avoid the issue entirely and they can leave the world. Chihiro's interrupted when she spots A has walked up near them. Tetsuya asks how long he's been standing there. A approaches them and says he doesn't know them or care about them as long as they can defend the city. Chihiro says he will be in a Sentinel, so they're counting on him, and she just walks away off the rooftop. Tetsuya asks if he has any questions. A asks to confirm that if he keeps up his end of the bargain, they'll stop using Ryoko. Tetsuya says they had no intention of using her, but he'll be more careful going forward. He confirms that Tetsuya needs third-generation Sentinels to gain command over, and says he'll update their systems. A asks why he's the one doing it, instead of Morimura, and Tetsuya replies that a shift in the chain of command is in order, and doesn't want her knowing about it because she may resort to drastic measures if things go poorly, specifically referring to Operation Aegis. A asks for clarification on Operation Aegis, and Tetsuya explains. The enemy's main target is the underground mainframe, and each mainframe has a self-defense protocol that the enemy attacks can bypass. Thus, when they strike, the terminal will be hacked to activate the protocol, which will stop the attack, but render the time machine useless. This means they can't start over again. A asks if this matters as long as they succeed, but Tetsuya replies that time will stop flowing in this world and cause everything to descend into chaos, and they'll be the only ones left behind in the hellscape. Don't mind me, just hating on someone right now.
Funny joke.
Funny joke.
Last night I saw a clip of Scooter from the Muppets Cage dancing.
Well,
Huh.
It's apparently actual Muppet footage, so
Huh.
Not surprised.
I don't know what movie or show it's from. I feel like it's one of the movies. I don't know which one.
It's probably from the Muppet Show.
No, the camera quality was too good. Hang on. Muppets. Scooter. Cage. Dancing.
I could be a Muppet. Hi ho!
Fuyuhiko, what are you doing here?
I came to see the time knife.
You're not here to catch a movie?
There's a movie?
You darn tootin' there is!
What's to know what Operation Aegis is? That sounds nothing like Elmo.
And I have to start putting these guys on the board. Because it is about this point in time that I'm thinking, huh, these don't seem to be the same people. It seems like we are dealing with multiple instances of people here. I can't back that up yet, at least not in game. Not where we are in the game.
Behold, the Tetsuya Ida Barbershop Quartet.
Right next to the Chihiro Morimura baseball team.
Behold, it's Juro and the Fighting Juros.
Eh.
Chihiro Morimura and Chihiro Morimura neck and neck as Chihiro Morimura comes around the bend, and look, there goes another Chihiro Morimura!
We got 25 churros!
Yeah, I mean...
That almost sounds like 25 churros.
You know, there was a churro recipe in that cookbook I sent you last night.
I feel like churros came up in one of the Battletech novels. I can't remember where, though.
Well, if it did, it was probably about the Caballeros. Because that's where I think they're called the Caballero churros.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm just reminded of the Hobbin and Bobbin joke.
Hobbin, bobbin, neck, neck. Hobbin, bobbin, neck, neck.
62. There they are.
Yeah, it's funny because the PPC drink and the variations of it actually first appeared in canon in some of the earliest BattleTech novels. So I'm glad that they got the recipe, and it's just as undrinkable as it is in the novels.
Yeah.
This is what you drink when you want to get fucked up in BattleTech.
It is legitimately 4 shots of white lightning. 5 if you're doing the clan version. You think I'm joking?
I'm not shocked. Like, I remember the Cretan version, like, they specifically mentioned, like, they either add a shot of sake or a shot of jet fuel, whichever is more readily available at the time.
Yep.
I'm also glad that there's a canonical Triple F burger recipe.
I mean, there
Because
kind of had be, don't you think?
Yeah, because we had numerous things in the BattleTech LP where that came up.
You were way too excited about him, I'll say that.
Yeah, I was like,
You
oh
were
my god,
very excited about those things.
this is actually, like, the place is a thing in canon, and they're mentioning it. This is great. I am in my BattleTech happy place.
It's the only joy I have left in this world.
I'm still looking at that yakisoba pan note and laughing to myself.
Yep.
Oh no. No.
You know, I'm looking at this nightmarish string thing, and I can almost see the nightmarish face that Alec Baldwin gives himself in Beetlejuice, in the first Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah. So we don't know who the voice over the walkie-talkie is, but we have it down to 1 of 2 people, we were pretty sure. Mostly because of the accent.
It was Chihiro Morimura the whole time.
It's always Chihiro Morimura. Always.
It's always Chihiro and Morimura.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's the male Chihiro.
God, years... Was that a novel or was it a short story? Courage got me a story, and, like, it's one of those kind of mind screw stories where this guy's uncle supposedly leaves him a fortune, and when he goes to investigate, all there is this belt, but the belt turns out to be a time machine. And, like, numerous shenanigans ensue, including him, like, accidentally causing a female version of him to be born in a specific timeline, and then, well, look, weird shit happens. He's, like, his own parent and his own grandpa, and, yeah.
But more importantly, does Mabel get the pig?
There is no pig for Mabel.
How dare.
I should rewatch Gravity Falls. Actually, years ago, when I was still with my parents and Courage was visiting, like, I introduced him to Gravity Falls. And we watched a couple episodes. My parents were not fans. But Courage went home and, like, binge-watched the entire thing and was like, this was amazing.
I half expect he did the same thing with Yu Yu Hakusho after visiting us.
I'm sorry, dear Mishi.
Yeah, but you didn't suplex a train twice.
Then we have the loop over here and talking about the people that have experienced this.
And your shows are looking cool.
The problem with A's chapters, dear God, there's a lot of information that gets dumped in them.
Why are you laughing?
It doesn't get any easier. I'm just gonna say that.
Man, if only there was like another character that dumped way more information.
Right.
But I'm sure that doesn't exist in the game. Nah.
Not yet, anyway. Right now, it's A's chapters are giving us a lot of little hidden information out there. Come on, actually copy the thing I tell you to copy, please.
No.
I don't wanna.
I don't care if you wanna. And we got you bargaining on behalf of Ryoko there. We have you using Ryoko in some fashion that we're unsure about right now.
Eventually, every single yellow note is going to be like connected to every other yellow note multiple times.
You know, there's a power struggle there.
Okay, but which one's the Viking that jumps? Which one has the shield and which one has the sword?
It's been too long since I played the Lost Vikings.
Olaf is shield!
Yes.
I believe this is the first time we actually heard the term Operation Aegis in any meaningful context. We know Chihiro plans to activate it.
The PlayStation version of the PlayStation sequel to Lost Vikings actually isn't bad. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad, and there's some fun ideas in there.
Yes. I mean, considering we got a Blues Brothers reference in the one part.
Mm-hmm. We got a lot of weird references.
Yeah.
All of the references. Even to stuff you don't get.
Pretty much.
And there, he plans to stop Operation Aegis.
What a dick!
We don't know if Operation Aegis is a good thing yet or not.
I was sort of assuming it was bad.
Okay.
I'm just operating under the assumption that Tetsuya Ida is a dick.
I mean, yeah, you could probably that's probably safe. So we
Like-
move on. We're at video 38. But what were you going to say?
I remember, like, as soon as Tetsuya Ida, like, first came on screen, I'm like, this guy's a dick.
I mean, it does seem like it.
And now he's on the cliff list.
You haven't put him on the cliff list hard enough yet.
So, We're back in battle, Wave 7, and we moved all the way forward to 6:28 p.m. I don't think that was even 20 minutes. Natsuno notices a kaiju that looks like it's got a fan on it, and Jiro says it's called an APSOS, or just APS feeder. Ryoko mentions those things are nasty because they put up deflective barriers. Jiro says they can also give kaiju shields like the 4th generation Sentinels do, but the 3rd generation Sentinels should have a weapon to counter that. Keitaro specifically calls out the EMP stunner, which will use an EMP pulse to stop them and deactivate the shields. Ryoko says that you're better off just beating him before the shields go up and the battle starts. Once battle finishes, we get a young Chihiro popping up on comms to all units. Shu wonders how she got onto comms, but Tony recognizes her as the girl Miwako was helping. Keitaro asks if it is really Chihiro, and she calls herself Chihiro Morimura, and Shu recognizes it as her teacher's name. Chihiro says she's going to evacuate the entire populace of 1.2 million people all at once, where they'll be force shifted to 2025. Rinyu questions this, and Chihiro says that it's so they don't have to worry about civilian casualties. Phew. Yep.
You may want to put like a note that that's the small version, just so, well, you have it numbered, so.
Yep.
Look at this guy with organized notes.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
Years of practice, I assume?
And Miwako, there's your card. Granted, we don't know much about what's going on here.
To this day, we still don't know what's going on.
This is true.
The more we know that we don't know.
Yep.
Which is really a good metaphor for life.
Yeah.
Yep. So, that's all we get out of this. That Chihiro is actually Chihiro Morimura, again. And she helped Miwako out during one of the previous waves. That's what we got out of that.
Chihiro Morimura, if that's your real name.
There's that bear again.
Yep. So we're up to video 39. We don't have a match and analysis for this, but it's Keitaro back to May 1985, and he notes on the clear skies, watching his Sentinel from the Kaede River at sunset. He muses about taking the Sentinel back to 1944 and changing history with the Pacific War. He muses further about finding Chihiro and if it's possible for him to even go back, and that maybe he didn't actually time travel because space-time might just be warped in the area, so he needs to head to the school to investigate. We move to event 114. Keitaro muses that Japan recovered pretty well after the war, and maybe even too well, and recalls a sci-fi novel his uncle gave him about time travel, and wonders if the Sentinel really has that ability. The walkers he saw are not mentioned in any reference material he can find. Iori and Miwako run past Keitaro in a hurry, and Keitaro notes that female students nearby must mean that the school is still there. Soon after, Natsuno runs by and stops to talk to him. She'd been worried as she had no idea where he went and thought he'd been hauled off to Area 51. He says he'd been staying at a kind student's, meaning Shu's house, but mostly sleeping outdoors. Natsuno's determined to fix the mess, and after ruling out her own house because of all her brothers, she remembers Granny Tamao is on a trip, so Jiro has extra space at his house. Keitaro recognizes that name, and then Natsuno runs off to get her things before she takes Keitaro to Jiro's house, as he recalls being there in 1945. We fade out and fade back into Event 39, where we see in 1945 Keitaro standing in the living room of the Karabe house, where there is a large dent in one of the main support beams, and young Chihiro crouches next to the beam sniffling. She asks if he's mad, and he says that neither he nor Uncle is, and reassures her until she stands up. He asks how she dented the beam with a laundry bucket, and she says the stuffed bunny was fighting and it beat up giant ghosts that kept coming. Tamao walks on screen, and Keitaro asks how she thought of the ghosts, and Chihiro said Tamao told her about them. Tamao apologizes for her father's short temper and takes responsibility because she was the one that told Chihiro about her dreams. Keitaro asks if she should even be awake at this point, and she said she's feeling much better because Rinya has been sharing foreign medicine with her that let her sleep, but they also bring on dreams that feel like memories. At this point, air raid sirens sound and Keitaro turns on the radio. The scene ends with Chihiro and Tamao running off to a bomb shelter. We move forward to event 116. You were about to say? We're back in
I got nothing.
We're back in the scene where Natsuno blackmails Juro, but from a different point of view. Juro chides Natsuno about even knocking before she comes in, and Natsuno says that she's friends with Tamao. She begins
Can't you at least put on pants before you come in here?
What are pants?
Natsuno put on pants? Huh. Novel idea. She begins to ask for a favor, but then Megumi walks in from the kitchen in kind of out of a jealous fit of seeing Juro talk to another girl, and Natsuno uses the fact that she's living there to go ahead and blackmail Juro. Keitaro walks in, introduces himself to the pair, and Natsuno walks out and says if Keitaro needs anything, she is close by. Keitaro apologizes for the situation, and Megumi asks if he's hungry. He says he shouldn't, but Megumi hears his stomach growl and just goes to fix him a plate anyway. Keitaro asks Juro about Tamao, and Juro says that she's fit as a fiddle and just visiting relatives in Shinane. The liar. But we'll get to that later. Keitaro realizes he means her mother's side of the family in Iwami. Keitaro confirms he knows Tamao, and Juro asks how long he needs to stay. Keitaro says, and just until he can get back home, and Juro gives him the guest room on the first floor. Keitaro looks at the TV, notes a radio used to be there, and could have sworn this house burned to the ground. He goes to look at the formerly damaged beam, but can't find the dent Chihiro put into it. The scene goes to black, and when we fade in to Event 2 on the timeline. We are now in 2188. In the colony ship in satellite orbit of Sector 4, Keitaro, without a scar on his forehead, talks to an elderly Tamao Karabe. She's reminiscing about her parents' house that stood for about 100 years, a little single-story wooden house built in the middle of the 20th century that her grandfather told her many stories about his fond memories there. Keitaro says he'll have it produced for her, and she asks how because all she has are photographs. He says it's fine, and he'll restore them. Tamao thanks him, and she drops off the comm. Immediately, Natsuno pops up, and she asks if he was on a call, and he confirms she was discussing the layout of the residential zone with Professor Karabe. Natsuno mentions she was born in the 21st century, which makes her about 120, but thanks to nanomachine treatment, she looks young. Keitaro says she's Professor Morimura's mentor and is the foremost expert on AI. Keitaro asks if anything is wrong, and Natsuno says she needs emotional support from him. Keitaro says he'll be waiting. Let's see here.
The real question is, will you have the right number of notes from this?
Probably not.
I mean, I think we both know what this means.
Yeah, but I probably definitely do not have the right number of notes for this. Because there are some things I couldn't figure out how to actually put on these notes. That's a thing. When something only affects one card, it's like, Well, how do I actually put that down?
Good question.
But for now, we need a few, even though we've had a scene with them before in the future. It's kind of time to actually give them their own little future cards.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Oh, I can see the future.
In the future.
Gohan's the strongest and he doesn't do crap! Crap.
And even though she was only referenced here, she wasn't really mentioned. She wasn't actually show up or anything.
I am laughing at something very specific about this card.
Future Chihiro Morimura pops up on the board.
Ah, this is gonna be hilarious. This is gonna be
For
so
you.
There are many things that are going to become hilarious eventually.
funny. Yes.
Not for me, not for Surat, and probably not for the viewers.
I'm pretty sure the viewers are going to find this funny.
I mean,
I know there was at least one person in one of the earlier videos who commented like, God, I wish I could say anything without spoiling anything.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I get you, buddy.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
High five.
And even though this guy will probably never pop up again at any point in time, he
You never
gets his own
know.
card.
you never know.
Uncle Karabe, who is also Juro, somehow.
Does Uncle Karabe have opinions on
Uncle Karabe has opinions on your cooking. His name is actually Uncle Roger.
Let's see.
Fuck yeah, into the corkboard.
Let's see. We know Tamao is her mentor in the future.
Uncle
In the
Karabe got to
future.
take leg off down from chair.
Oh gosh.
Again, the things that I introduce you to that you glom onto. Let's see. Young Chihiro there damaged that house.
I mean, at least she didn't draw crayons all over the walls.
Or did she?
Not that we know of.
Did they even have crayons?
Give it time.
We know she lived in that old house.
Why are you using frying pan? Uncle Karabe say just use wok. Why you no afford wok?
Okay, crayons were invented in 1903, so she would have had them.
Not sure how common they were in Japan, but she could absolutely have had them. Yes.
If not, pieces of charcoal would work too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, where did I put Keitaro? There you are.
We can no longer tell because all of the string.
Yeah. I have expect, like, next week, Siraj is going to be spending all his time reorganizing this so that we can read everything.
Funny you say that.
That's...
I see a goldfish. Continue.
Eventually, it's just going to, like, the final week, Surat's going to open this up. He's just like, you know what? Black screen. There you go. This is the representation of all of the strings connecting all of the things. Note that we cannot meaningfully read anything.
The next recap video is just like the last recap video is 5 seconds and it's just him setting a corkboard on fire.
You forgot the important part. Just the loud fuck that will happen and accompany that.
I think it's funnier if there's just dead silence, just you and me over a campfire, and it's just the fucking corkboard and the sticky notes, and the shipping chart.
And then somebody pulls out a stick with a marshmallow on it and starts roasting over it.
Someone puts a yakisoba pan on a stick.
Star does the marshmallow thing, Lancer does this yakisoba thing.
And I just weep softly in a corner. And then I got a fly buzzing around me. Why are you annoying me right now, fly?
Shoot, fly, don't bother me.
Because it's my job. I'm gonna take over the world. You know, revolution. Ow.
Help me! Help me! Ah, too late. You know, aside from Kuzco, that's the only other animal we see in the in that movie that talks. He was a human.
The squirrel speaks squirrel.
Well, he doesn't speak English. Maybe the fly was an actual person that he's also turned into something.
It turns out that was Kuzco's accountant.
I know, I've heard some stories that that's Kuzco's dad.
Ooh, that's dark.
Yeah.
That is dark.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and put on here all the people that are starting to experience these strange dreams. I don't know why I waited this long to do it, but, you know, it's one of those things I realized might actually be important. It's, you know, about now. Why did I wait this long? Don't know.
Question. It just came to you.
This won't be the first time either. It won't be the first time I will see something go, you know, that actually probably needs a note.
It just comes to you, like how Hello Nurse came to that design for the bottle for the doctor in Wacko's Wish.
Mm-hmm.
It just came to her from who knows where.
Yeah.
I think it was
We've got 2 pennies today. We've got 2 pennies, hooray!
I think it was because Tamao started mentioning these strange dreams, so I thought, you know what? That seems like it's much more significant than I was giving it credit for. He reproduces it.
This isn't rain code.
I mean, I was going to say not that way before you said that, and thought, nah, they won't do that, but there we go.
Y'all need to get your minds out of the gutter. Raincoat has ruined us all.
Yeah, what are we gonna do once we're done with it?
Welcome to Necopara.
Oh God. That'll just have like angry rants from me for like an hour and a half.
See Tamel and the
This is what I'm saying here.
teams.
but men hot.
Cat girl suffrage.
Cat men not suffrage.
Cat men also suffrage. Cat people deserve rights, is what I'm saying.
They do, but now I'm trying to think if the cat boys have suffrage.
I just
They do not, I'm assuming, just based on the way that the setting works.
I don't know. The only Catboy one I know of is a short one, which is just a bunch of cat boys that run a restaurant.
I feel like I need to put you there.
That's the one I'm
Actually,
thinking of.
Future, I need to put you over here.
That one seems normal.
Well, as normal as cat boys go, but yeah.
All these future people get to go over here.
I'm looking at one of those future cards and laughing really hard. when that comes up, that's gonna be fun.
Okay, so that's everything out of 39. Video 40, we're doing more battle. We're now at 6:38 p.m. We're not moving forward in large chunks of time here. But this is Wave 8. Megami remarks that all the people vanished from the city, and so Keitaro muses that Chihiro actually managed to evacuate all 1.2 million people. Natsuno wonders what she even did to accomplish this. Jiro interrupts and says the B-forces are coming, but now they can fight without worrying about collateral damage. Except for the buildings. But those don't count. Except on the counters that actually pop up in-game. Natsuno remarks on the new threat approaching, and Keitaro says they're bigger than tanks, but still too small for the Sentinels to easily hit. Megami calls them workers. They're kind of general-purpose drones, all-terrain, and they can link up with the quad walkers to form kind of a crane arm. The battle starts. The battle ends. Megami says the city took some damage, but there are no casualties. Yuki pops up to reminisce about her old gang days where she used to talk about tearing the city down, and she never believed she'd actually be able to do it. Megami tells her she's still trying to protect it, but Yuki lashes out. Ryoko tells her to save it for when they aren't risking death. Natsuno calms her down, and Yuki says things are just getting to her, probably because she needs a damn cigarette at this point.
She hasn't had one in like months, and she's getting pissed.
Yep. Let's see, you are not an important card for anything, but we did get information about you in the analysis logs. You get to sit over here for a bit. We will deal with you for in a second. Stealing this. Why couldn't I find it?
Because look at this shit.
This is true.
This shit is amazing. Give it a lick. It tastes just like raisins.
And let's see, Sector 4.
I'm gonna be right back.
Young Chihiro evacuated Sector 4. That's what happens. That is what happens.
You keep telling yourself that.
Hey, according to the game, that is what just happened. Where the hell did Jackass go? It's been a long time since I had to deal with him. Where the hell? There you are. Here's your cronies on the board. Because the game actually puts them up for some reason. And Yuki thrashes them on a regular basis. She is not the only one. There's Ninji. Both of them thrash the cronies on a regular basis. Okay. So with that done, we move on to video 41. No match in the analysis for where we start. But Shu walks through the third floor schoolway after school. He muses that the dreams are getting to him, especially with the show that came on in the middle of the night that he only wishes was a dream. He thinks about being called Tetsuya Ida in his dreams and that Tomi is there, and he wonders if Ida and Tomi are in love. He also has another dream about a lab in the future where Tomi is. He also drove to school and parked his bike off the school grounds so they can't complain, and muses about Miyuki Inaba, celebrity pop star, and realizes that talking about her appearing in the TV is going to have him committed, but he thinks he fell for Yuki. Yeah, it was a weird little start to this whole thing. He looks in Class 1B for Jiro so he can kind of discuss the dreams, but doesn't find him and thinks he might be out in that outdoor passageway.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Tomi then sprints by and gets knocked over by running into Shu. They stare at each other as Shu says she looks the same, and then he punches or grabs her in the stomach. I'm not really sure what he did, because he needs to make sure of something. She retaliates by slapping him and calling him a pervert, and he says he had to check to see if she actually had a stomach because of a dream. This does nothing to placate her, and asks if he's calling her fat. Then he asks Then she asks if he thinks it's okay to just grab girls. He apologizes, she calls him a skis ball, and enters classroom 1B. Shu walks over to class 1A, looks in, fails to spot Yuki, so he heads out to the passageway to see if he can go find Jiro. We move to event 154. In the passageway, Shu runs into Yori and asks if she's the only one there. She says she wants to talk about a dream that's bothering her, and Shu says his dreams have also been crazy. She asks if he sees robots, and he says, kind of, but they're more like androids, and you can't tell them apart from humans in a lab. And Iori says she was there in her dreams too, calling it the 6th biggest underground laboratory in Shikishima. She was surprised it's underground, and Iori says she also saw Tomi there. She shares his version of the dream. We move to event 20 in the timeline. In Shikishima Tech Lab number 6 in 2100, an adult, kind of, late teens, really young adult Tetsuya, works at a monitor in front of a partially reconstructed android that kinda sorta looks like the top half of Tomi. The nearby computer, labeled Tamao Kurabe, says the memory data is now ready, and Tetsuya thanks her, saying he doesn't know what he'd do without her. She says he did fine, and he promises to get her a body soon too. The pair begin the process of uploading Tomi's memory data into the android, and Tamao says the simulated personality and memory have been synchronized. He talks to the android, asks her to come back, and she does wake up, looks at him, asks if he's Ida-kun, then maybe if he's Ida's older brother, or if he did, and wonders if he even had an older brother. And then just kinda says he looks really grown up. He apologizes to her for it taking 8 years, and she gets confused but then Tamao pops up and says she's struggling to understand the situation, so she's going to have to inhibit Tomi's emotions to avoid a panic attack. Tomi asks what's happening, and Tetsuya says he analyzed her data from records in Sector 0, found the data in mind from her old memories, and transferred them into this android. Tomi kind of starts to struggle with the concept of not actually being human, and Tetsuya asks Tamao to adjust her inhibitors. Tamao then tries to talk to Tomi and say they're both alike, and that they are both AI based on memories constructed to be, in her case, Tomi. Tetsuya attempts to reassure her that she is still her, and Tamao asks to be connected directly to try to calm her, which Tetsuya does.
I love the bite on Tomi.
Chihiro in a catsuit walks in, telling Tetsuya there's a problem with the Sentinels. The complete ones aren't responding, and that they're working up the same base code as the D-series, so the D-code control has to be holding them back. To disrupt the function, someone capable must maintain direct access. Chihiro asks if this is a bad time, and Tamao says everything's fine, and tells Tetsuya Tomi has finally calmed down. Tomi asks what happened to the real her, and Chihiro replies that Juro killed her along with the other kids, and Chihiro had to put him down. We fade out and fade back in to see Shu laying down to sleep in his apartment late at night. And he wakes up from the same and saying he's having that dream again. Shu thinks about it and realizes that since he's been seeing things through Ida's eyes, Iori might be seeing things through Chihiro's eyes. Shu turns on the TV and asks if he would like to speak to him today, and wonders if he's just going nuts. Miyuki Inaba assures him he's not, and that she's glad he actually talks to her. He asks what's going on, and she says this will still take a while. He asks if she's the real Miyuki Inaba, and she replies there's only one of her, but the face is just a but if the face is a mask is kinda hard to say, because a mask may be all an idol has, and is maybe the totality of what they are. Shu says he knows the TV can't do video phone stuff, and Miyuki tells him that he himself is a transmitter, and the TV is just a receiver. Huh. That might explain something. This is the only way she can communicate, but she's blocked by universal control. The system denied her access, so she sneaks in on a broadcast. Shu asks why him, and she says that his ID is the only one she can locate. Beyond that, she knows she can depend on him. He asks for clarification on what's going to take a while, and she says it'll take a while to make him understand the situation. She realizes she's being tracked, and she cuts the connection. Okay, so let's see. So we get new cards. The 6th biggest lab gets its own place here.
Dear God, it's the 3rd strongest mole! We're doomed!
Something like that.
That might be my favorite enemy from Earthbound.
Yeah.
Just because of the commitment to the bit.
Yeah. You know the main problem with getting all these cards of different people when they're the same person? Kinda, sorta. You know what the biggest problem with that is?
Please, enlighten me.
Trying to figure out how to actually label them. That is one of the biggest problems I'm having with some of this. And it's only getting worse as things go on.
I'm sure there's no way it could possibly get any worse.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm just gonna say fuck you for saying that. Let's see. We actually got confirmation. I may have already listed this. I just didn't catch it when I wrote this string.
I suddenly have a weird craving for Burger King, which is obnoxious because we've already had dinner.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Oh, good, it didn't keep that note. Oh well. I'll need
Funny thing about our town, we have a Burger King here. There's a McDonald's on the other side of one state line. There's a McDonald's just over the other state line, but not here, technically. Yeah. It's just kind of funny to me. It's even funnier given that, like, we practically have two Dunkin' Donuts next to each other on one of the state lines.
Sentinels. Where did I put... Not the Deimos, but the Deimos code.
Okay.
All the way up there. Let's see. We have the more adult Tetsuya having built the android. Of course, AI Tamao helped. Universal Control over here. First time we've heard of them, really. Or at least the first time they've been more than just a name. But we know they're blocking Miyuki from doing something.
On the room.
Okay.
If I had to see it, so does everyone else.
If you had to see what?
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Somehow Shu is acting as a transmitter.
Ah!
Oh god.
Oh god. Buffoon. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Hotel Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, so that's gonna be Lesva. It seems like this thing does not want to save what I put on the strings between sessions. Because every single one I've pulled up has been blank.
Yeah.
Okay, not every single one, but the vast majority of them. Yeah, well. I'll just remember I have the strings there. I mean, I have what the strings stand for listed. So I'm not going to fill it in here anymore since it doesn't seem to want to keep that.
Fair.
I give up on that. I give up on that. But we're now on to video 42, which is more combat, wave 9. We've now moved on. And I'm just going to scroll back up here real quick. So let's see, we were at 6:07. The next fight happened at 6:13. The one after that at 6:28. The one after that at 6:38. And now we have almost a half-hour gap. We're at 7:04. Yuki complains about her Sentinel looking kind of wimpy, with Megami says that the gyros can carry up to 600 tons, so it gets to fly, but it only gets to be about a quarter of the weight of a third-generation Sentinel. Shu really likes some agility and remarks on the power in the legs that it has. Renya pipes in and says the heels are pile bunkers that can release high voltage, but it takes a lot of power, so you can't use them non-stop. Battle starts. The battle ends with Yuki remarking that the kaiju seem to have already changed targets to a different terminal. Again. Shu says he's dismounting to give the Sentinel a break for repairs, so he's going to grab a motorcycle to catch up. Ninji says, "Hey man, I thought you were going to stop stealing bikes." And Shu says, it's an emergency. Come on, man.
Big monster.
Huh?
Big monster.
Ryoko asks him for a ride because she's also dismounting. He agrees. And Yuki seems to get a little angry that he's letting her ride behind him. He then starts to ask if he's jealous, but before he can, Yuki stammers out and interrupts him that she is not jealous. Spoiler, she's totally jealous. But we didn't learn anything new from that combat, so off to video 43 and the final update for today. We have an event that has no match and analysis again. We are continuing Iori's story, and it repeats an earlier scene from a much earlier video. Video 20, in fact. Back in 1985 in the Kyakicho shopping district, Iori, Miwako, and Tomi walk down a street. The three stop at a crosswalk, and I start to have PTSD flashbacks about what happened last time we were here. Tomi and Miwako start talking about a cat that Miwako saw, and it keeps disappearing before either of the other two can find it. Iori asks Miwako if she wants to go by the record store, and she says she does because the new Idols group singer looks like Shu. Tomi rolls her eyes and said all the guys at school suck. Miwako expounds on the virtues of being in love, and Tomi complains about how all the boys act around Chihiro due to her cup size, and Shu is as shallow as a cookie pan. Miwako asks about Kodo, and Tomi still passes on that one. Miwako then says Shu isn't continuing to play basketball and adds on that he also quit soccer because he got bored with it. Tomi asks, and Iori confirms that she knew Shu and Natsuno back in 4th grade. Iori asks Miwako if she's going to actually send her confession, but Miwako says her luck is bad this week, so she's not. But she tells Iori she should get a 4-leaf clover because it's a love charm. And if you include it in the letter to your crush, your wish will come true. Tomi rolls her eyes and dismissively asks if it was put a photo of your crush in your pillow last week. The cat finally shows up for Iori and she attempts to approach it, but it runs away. Tomi mentions she's still hungry, so the girls finally think about what to go eat. Miwako wants soft serve because it's hot outside, and Tomi wants crepes. This time, Iori says they've had crepes a lot lately, so she wants soft serve. They walk away, the scene fades to black, and then quickly returns with the trio Hal having soft serve cones in their hand, all rich vanilla. Miwako remarks that her lucky item this week is soft serve, and they have the former discussion about eating sugar and gaining weight. Iori tells Miwako she should send in her love letter and reminds Miwako that she had her lucky item, which, in the soft serve, which should counteract the unlucky week. Miwako goes on to say she envies the way Iori can talk to boys, and asks what she and Shu were talking about in the passageway. Iori says dreams, and then recalls a conversation with Jiro and Shu. We fade out and fade back into Event 52, where Iori runs into Jiro in the passageway. She asks if he's waiting for Shu, and he says he's trying to. She asks if he's going to talk about dreams, as Jiro says he just wants to hang out at Shu's place and play games. Jiro asks if this is really the first time he and Iori have met, and wonders if they met a long time ago, to which Iori says no. Shu shows up, notes Iori's there, and tells Jiro he had another dream where he was in a tank with legs beating up monsters, and Jiro asks if he watched more sci-fi before bed. Iori asks if he's been having dreams like that a lot, and confirms, as well as saying Jiro has too. Jiro says his involved a UFO that sent him back in time via transmitter, and he has dreams like that constantly, but he's probably just easily influenced by movies and the like. Shu asks why she came, and asks if it's because of their dreams. Iori confirms, and thought she could talk to them about it. Shu asks what kind of dreams, and Iori recalls one involving Shu. Fade out and then fade in, back to Event 17, where in 2089, a teenage Chihiro stands at the Sumire Bridge and remarks that the Sentry Tower is missing because it probably hasn't been built yet. She traveled back 16 years and thinks she may be the only one who made it. She wonders if Jiro and Okino managed to escape, as she's all alone. At that point, a Type 98 teleports on the bridge in front of her, and Tetsuya is on top of it, wondering if he made it back to Sumire Bridge as Katsu Chihiro planned, and sees Teen Chihiro. Introductions happens, and he says he was sent by Katsu Chihiro from the future to find her and tell her about the battles yet to come, which will allow them to win this time. But it's getting noisy, and he doesn't want to get caught, so he recommends they run. She asks what about the robot, and he says they don't have a choice but to leave it there, but they will need it eventually and will worry about it when the time comes. For now, they need to run. She takes off, and the scene ends. And I'm going to have a huge problem with this whole scene later, but that's for a different point in time. So,
I now see a barn.
I see it.
Yay!
I am on my second drink because it's a holiday.
So now, I don't have any new strings to add to this, but I've got a problem. You see, a lot of the strings that are attached to Chihiro, Jiro, Tetsuya, Shu, they're on the wrong card. There are things that need to be divided up and put on completely other cards.
I'm sure this will be the only time this happens.
Oh yeah, there will never happen again.
Thonk.
Never again.
You sadistic fuck.
There are things that have come up in this video that I am laughing my ass off at.
I would imagine. And there's one thing that makes me realize how something might actually be happening. But that's a discussion for much, much later. Like 60 videos from here later. But yeah, this has been the latest update to 13 Sentinels. Yet more tinfoil edition. You know, if they remade it, they should totally call it that.
Soon there will be enough tinfoil to wrap around a turkey.
Oh, we're way past that stage.
the entire Thanksgiving table.
I think we can tinfoil a plane.
We can at least completely wrap someone's cubicle in tinfoil. But yeah, I have work to do reorganizing a bunch of these strings. But I'm gonna do that later. Things are gonna need to move.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, don't tell me. Things are gonna move.
There's one very specific thing that I am laughing my ass off, and you are going to be so angry later.
And you can't tell me about it yet.
I cannot. No, it hasn't come up yet.
I mean, not even in the context of how far we actually are in the game.
Nope.
Which is quite a bit further, just letting everyone know that we have recorded, I think we're up to video 104?
Yeah.
I think that's where I said I think that's where the last video is. Yeah, we're up to video 104. So that tells you how far in the future we actually are.
But wait, which loop are we on?
If I answered that, that's a spoiler.
I'm not asking which loop the game is on, I'm asking what loop we ourselves, the players, are on.
Let's see.
Am I Tetsuya Ida?
Maybe we're Tetsuya Ida.
I'm not ready to go off the cliff yet. But yeah. An hour and a half worth of recap and me slowly losing my goddamn mind. Okay,
Right there
me
with you,
slowly
bud.
losing my goddamn mind has happened over all the time it takes me to put these summaries together and figure out what needs to be put on the board and what doesn't. And I know I'm probably missing several key points of data that will help me out in the future. But I don't know what I'm missing.
Yakisoba pan.
That's not missing, that's right there.
You need more of it.
You're not getting more than one yakisoba pan. Unless you make another batch and you can get several dozen out of what you make, but that's aside the point.
It was delicious.
And for those of you interested, yes, he actually did a video where he made yakisoba pan, and it is on Star's channel.
I'm pretty sure it'll make Uncle Roger cry.
Probably. But then again, you did actually seem to use the proper equipment.
I know there was at least a couple ingredients that weren't proper, and I'm sure I screwed up on technique somewhere, but...
Yeah, I think he might complain about not using chopsticks, but... But that's a side discussion for another time. So, I think for now we can go ahead and call this finished. We'll be back in somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 weeks or more. It'll be closer to a month from now, I think. I think the next video will cover the next 12 parts. Because I already know how long it'll actually go. Yeah, the next video will cover 12 more videos, so that'll be about a month from now. Well, the month from when this actually airs on my channel. The next one will show up.
Oh god, we've entered another loop!
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Oh,
now
no.
3 weeks. 24 days, 3 weeks. So... as far as my brain goes, we're on loop 2,867. Constant reboots, man. Anyway.
Never ending.
Never ending. But until then, I mean, I'll see everybody again in 2 days, but that's getting into past me. Wait, do I need a card for Courtboard me and Let's Play me?
I think we do. And, like, we need 2188 you.
I don't think 2188 me is going to exist. I mean, we have 2024 me. And we have 1980s me.
We have Teen Surat, we have AI Surat.
Ew, why are you an AI?
Oh, that's the only way I'm making it to 2188.
Oh.
Somebody's going to upload. Somebody's going to sift through these videos and make a simulated personality based on me.
There was a joke I was tempted to make there, but I decided not to.
Go on.
Fuck it, it's rain code now.
We will upload that AI into half an android.
Someone's
One
gonna
day
dream
this
about
will
it,
be
then pat me on the stomach to find out if I'm real. Great.
One of these days, that joke will become so thematically appropriate.
What's that, Star?
What?
I thought you were gonna say something. Well,
But yeah, that's all for now. I hope you guys are enjoying watching my, well, it's escalating, isn't it? The speed of the descent into madness. Hope everybody's enjoying that.
13 Sentinels.
Not even once. So take care, everyone.
Later.
Fine.